Welcome everyone. Good morning for the most of you. At today's webinar run by KaTech, the webinar is called Proteins and Fibres, Understanding the Essentials for Plant-Based Formulations. My name is Nadia. I'm working at Vegconomist, the vegan business magazine, and I'm head of partnerships and media solutions. I'm very happy to be part of this webinar today. I will just give you some technical hints and a preview on the agenda, and then we will start the session. So very first hint for those of you who aren't very familiar with Zoom, there is a tiny speech bubble icon below. Just make sure that you can find it. And you can post your comments or questions anytime during the session. It will be visible only for our team, and we will collect your questions for the Q&A part at the end of this session. Also, on our end, we are able to switch off your microphones and cameras so that everyone can listen to the session in an anonymous way and enjoy the input. So, what will the webinar be about? Just let me share my screen. You should be able to see the agenda now. All right. So we will start with a quick introduction on Ingredient and KaTech competences and services. Run by Tim von Burgsdorf, who is working as Sales and Business Development Manager for the EMEA region at KaTech. Then, right after, we will hear the core part of today's webinar, all about proteins and fibers. Jocelyn Hernandez will be speaking. She's Senior Project Manager for the field of plant-based food solutions at KaTech. The whole session, Tim's part and Jocelyn's part, will take around 30 minutes. And right after, we will jump to the Q&A part, which will be featured by them and also Markus Tietjen, who's here today as well. He is working as Head of Development Germany at KaTech. So, as I already said, you can post your questions here anytime, and the three of them will go through them. Any question that might not be answered today will be followed up for sure by the team. I wish you a very informative time today. Thank you so much for joining, and just handing over to Tim right now. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Before we move into our presentation related to the understanding of the essentials for plant-based formulations, specifically looking into plant-based proteins and fibers, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce Ingredient as well as KaTech to you. Let me start with Ingredient. Ingredient is a leading global plant-based ingredient solutions provider headquartered near Chicago in the US. Ingredient has been around for more than 120 years. We have more than 12,000 talented and fully engaged employees in our team. With that setup, we serve more than 18,000 customers in more than 120 countries across the globe. We have 32 innovation centers in place to be close to markets. And in those innovation centers, we have more than 500 global food technologists working to serve our customers best. With that setup, we achieved more than $8 billion USD net sales in 2022 as a group. What do we do as a company? Well, our purpose is to bring the potential of people, nature, and technology together to make life better. We do this by offering texturizing solution in a highly innovative manner. We look at cost-effective solutions, specifically supported by a very broad specialty starch portfolio, but also hydrocolloids. And what we really do is to understand how texture impacts taste in detail, because it's one of the key attributes for customer satisfaction. In addition, we offer plant-based protein fortification. Here we offer flours, concentrates, and isolates, specifically looking into dairy alternatives, meat alternatives, as well as snacks, to ensure that we can achieve consumer-preferred textures for our customers, but also protein fortification to hit the nutritional values that are desired. In addition, we also look into reducing sugar. Specifically with the acquisition of Pure Circle, we have expanded our footprint into sugar reduction capabilities, and we talk about sweetness management, but also mouthfeel management, so that we do not sacrifice any taste or mouthfeel during the consumption of great tasting consumer products. Really important for us is also sustainable and trusted sourcing, because we need to take care that our families and kids and the future are well protected and we act in a very sustainable manner. How do we actually create value? We are set up by so-called growth platforms. So you will see here 5 individual growth platforms. They are connected because we share a lot of information, innovation, as well as knowledge. But we are set up to the top left-hand side with our starch-based texturizer portfolio, a broad portfolio of modified starches to ensure that we can offer cost-effective solutions in that space. In addition, we have our clean and simple ingredients portfolio, who we talk about physically modified starches as well as functional fibers. I think most of you know our well-known brand Novation. That's basically the headline for our clean and simple starch portfolio. In addition, as said before, we are focused on plant-based proteins. Here we offer flours, concentrates, and isolates. Sugar reduction, I also talked before. This is also set up as a growth platform. It's all about sugar reduction and specialty sweetness. And to the top right-hand side, we look into food systems. This is all about formulated ingredient solutions tailored to meet specific customer needs. And we will dive a little bit deeper into food systems during the presentation. This is all underpinned by, of course, our purpose and performance-driven culture. I talked about sustainable and trusted sourcing. This becomes more and more important and is top of our agenda. To ensure that we are cost efficient and we supply on time and full, we have a strong focus on supply chain and operational excellence. And in addition, we also have our core and industrial ingredients set up, because given the setup that we have in place, we produce also other components that are key to those industries. Ingredion acquired KaTech in 21, and with this we really started to dive deeper into the food systems environment. We also have TIC in our portfolio, so we acquired TIC, a US-based food systems company, 3 years before, but with KaTech we established our EMEA and European business, as this German provider of advanced texture and stabilizing solution helped us really to expand into food systems. Specifically looking at KaTech, we talk about labor-friendly solutions, but also cost-effective solutions with a high degree of innovation to ensure that customer can really differentiate on the market to be successful going forward. Looking at KaTech as part of the Ingredion group, we talk about 3 main locations. So we have the head office and our pilot plant facility, the biggest one in Lübeck, Germany. It's the northern part of Germany. We also have a pilot plant set up in offices in Cheshire, UK, to serve the UK and Ireland market best and local. And in addition, we have our production facility in Rheinfeld, Germany, that's between Hamburg and Lübeck. That factory is brand new and purpose-built to create and produce food system solutions. At the heart and center of what we do is a partnership approach, because with this we drive full value creation. It's all about trust, and it's about aligning priorities and setting clear targets for a strong team approach with our customers. So very often we start with the idea generation. So we talk about an idea and how to bring it to life. Next to it, we talk about concept development, because that's the proof of concept from a product perspective, and it also provides first insights if the desired product can be achieved. Then we move really into product development, and this is fully related to a tailored brief and a briefing that covers all the aspects that need to be fulfilled during the final product design. Of course, the product development part is closely related to process development because we are trying to avoid CapEx or additional investments for our customers as best as possible, because we need to respect the infrastructure and also need to ensure that we can scale up in a highly efficient manner. That usually happens during production trials. Here we support our customers locally in their premises to ensure that everything that we have done prior in a smaller scale setup happens also in real life and in production. Then it comes to the launch phase, so the product is ready to be brought to the market, and based on the success, consumer feedback, but also market acceptance, we often do post-launch reviews together to decide together if we need to reformulate or adjust a certain product to be even more successful on the market. It's a very, very close relationship and partnership that we try to establish here. And as I said, trust is at the heart and center, and confidentiality is the highest priority that we have during the whole process, because we'll never disclose specifics to other customers. Well, what we offer finally is a customized solution that consists of multiple ingredients. We take advantage of our innovative ingredient portfolio. As said before, we have our growth platforms, texturizers, clean and simple ingredients, plant-based protein and sugar reduction items. That's one part of a potential solution, but we also serve ingredients from external, meaning we are fully agnostic when it comes to the sourcing of emulsifiers, salts, flavors, proteins, or other hydrocolloids. But we could also source externally other starches if they make sense and if they fit the purpose and are needed to design a complete co-created solution. So it's really about being agnostic and to leverage the best ingredient possible from multiple perspectives: costs, availability, sustainability, and functionality, to ensure that the design solution and the final product meets the purpose. With this, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Jocelyn, and she will drive you now through the presentation.
Thank you so much, Tim. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Hernandez, and I work as a Senior Project Manager of Plant-Based Food Solutions in KaTech. I have a master's degree in Food Science, Technology, and Business, and I have studies in Biotechnology Engineering. I joined KaTech in 2019, and as Tim explained before and introduced before, we will guide you and show you how KaTech is understanding, or how KaTech understands the essentials of plant-based formulations. So as you might be aware, there are different challenges when it comes to development with plant-based proteins. One of them has to do with protein functionality. So plant proteins are completely different from animal proteins, from dairy proteins, and this implies some organoleptic challenges. So when it comes to texture and taste, there are differences in comparison to in contrast to using an animal or dairy protein. There is also really relatively limited knowledge when it comes to plant protein functionality. And due to this, in most of the cases, or many formulations, need to use other additional ingredients such as starches or hydrocolloids to help improve the texture and taste of some of these formulations. And lastly, there are also nutritional challenges. This related to the digestibility of the different proteins, to the content of nutritional amino acids, and we will explore all these different challenges in the presentation. KaTech has an extensive ingredient portfolio that includes proteins, fibers, hydrocolloids, starches, and emulsifiers. And we have different application teams working across different solutions, including dairy and savory products, meat alternatives, and bakery as well. At KaTech, we use proteins and fibers as building blocks. So we are doing a worldwide sourcing of different sources. So when it comes to proteins, we have our portfolio includes pea protein, fava protein. We're also looking into lentil, chickpea. We have materials with different protein content. We have concentrates, isolates, organic materials, conventional materials, hydrolyzed and partially hydrolyzed proteins. When it comes to fibers, our portfolio includes as well different sources, including citrus fiber, psyllium, oat fiber, bamboo, just to give you some examples. We're working with different lengths of fibers. All these fibers have different water binding capacities, salt binding capacities, swelling capacities. Some of them are soluble, insoluble, or a bit of both. And some of these fibers are also able to provide viscosifying or non-viscosifying properties into the formulation. When it comes to plant proteins, the processing history of the raw material has a huge effect in the final functionality of the product. As you may be aware, there are so many different commercial proteins in the market, including proteins coming from pulses, cereals, or oilseeds. There are different ways to extract or concentrate the amount of protein in these different ingredients. Some of the mostly used are dry extraction and wet fractionation, and there are also new technologies recently developed to extract these proteins. At the end, there are different products that pass through different heat treatments or pressure treatments, and all the different commercial available proteins have different structural a different structure or different composition, and this is highly affecting the final functionality of the ingredient. And KaTech, we are doing a lot of work to understand the relation between function and application. So when it comes to protein, we are looking into the solubility of proteins, into the gelling capacity, emulsification, and foaming. And when it comes to fibers, we're also looking into the water binding capacity, oil binding capacity, swelling capacity, and viscosifying of these fibers. Most of the methods that we have developed are done or have the aim to understand the intrinsic functionalities of these ingredients, but also how these ingredients behave under different pH conditions, temperature conditions, ionic strength conditions as well, because at the end, these ingredients will be applied in these different applications that will be under different environments. So this study this effort to characterize ingredients is always keeping in mind the final application. As mentioned before, we are working in 4 big applications, which are dairy alternatives, savory, meat alternatives, and bakery. The protein selection or the fiber selection we do has 3 different levels. First, we start by the source. So as introduced before, we're working for many different sources of proteins and fibers. Initially, KaTech was working with try to go away somehow from soy and wheat protein, which were allergens, and then there was a big effort to include other type of proteins in the portfolio and to understand their functionalities. So when it comes to proteins, we are also working with faba, pea, chickpea, lentil, canola, hemp proteins, and so the screening is worldwide, and as you might be aware, also when it comes to the source, there are many different suppliers available in the market. So the second level of our selection is the supplier, and then we are getting the material from different parts of the world. So in the case of pea, sometimes a pea protein coming from North America behave different from a pea protein coming from Europe, and part of our screening is doing that. So we screen the proteins independently to understand how is the function of each one. And then the third level of the selection is done by the batch. So in some cases, some producers are, as explained before, the processing history of the raw material has a huge impact in the final functionality of the product. So in some cases, some producers have difficulties maintaining the same functional properties among different batches. And part of the work that we are doing in the selection of those suppliers is to make sure that we have a consistent functionality between the different batches that we receive. This is an example of the work that is done. So this is the first cakes that you can see up are an example of the fiber selection. So by exchanging the fiber, just the fiber, we managed to have a better cake with better organoleptical properties. Then you can see also the difference between 2 faba isolates. The color is different, the taste was different, and also the foaming capacity and stability of this protein was different. And we are also speaking about the batch variations. This is an example of one of the first suppliers we came across. And as you can see, the emulsification properties of this same protein, but different batches, was completely different. So we make sure that, that the protein that we select can deliver the same functionality all the time. This is an example of how the pea proteins are characterized. So on the left, you can see 8 different pea proteins. The color is different, the particle size is different, the taste was different. And then we test them in different applications. So you can see on the top, there are some drinks. We are testing again there, how is the solubility of the proteins once the drink is pasteurized, how is the color of the final product, how is the taste, if the protein is able to produce a stable form or not. Then we are also testing the ability of the protein to form gels when the pH is changed or modified. And you can see that despite that all of these proteins are a pea isolate with 85% protein, the performance is completely different. So in some cases, the protein were able to produce a self-standing gel and the viscosity increased. In other cases, there was just a phase separation and the protein became completely or mostly powdery. And then in the bottom, you can see an example of the emulsification test we are also doing. KaTech our methods are testing the effect of different pHs also and different ionic strengths. So some of these proteins were able to form good stable emulsions with white color and creamy mouthfeel. Meanwhile, others, as you can see, were yellow in color, which is linked to usually poor emulsification. And there were some phase separations. As the work that is done with the proteins, we have a similar approach when working with fibers. So this is an example of the different citrus fiber that we have screened in the market. These are the values of the viscosity without any shear and the values of the viscosity after applying shear. And then we are testing how, in the case of citrus fiber, these many citrus fibers in the market are able to provide viscosity to the system. But they need to be activated by shear. So we are testing which is the initial viscosity that the citrus fiber brings into the system without shear. These for the applications in which no shear is available or where applications in which it's not possible to apply high shear. And then we test the effect after activating the fiber. And also in this case, we have screened different fibers. There are important differences in color, in the amount of the specks, and also in the final functionality of the product. When speaking about dairy alternatives, we have different categories. So we cover plant-based fermented products, desserts, beverages, barista milk, and also cream cheeses. These are only some examples. When we go to savory products, we are covering sauces, dressings, dips, mayonnaises. And in meat alternatives, we work with chicken alternatives, meat alternatives, and fish alternatives. And then I would like to show you, this is our pilot plan in Germany. So as Tim explained before, we have 2 pilot plants. One is based in Germany, the second one is based in Chester. And we have all the equipment to reproduce what our customers are doing in those 3-4 different applications. So customer troubleshooting. So when it comes to savory products, we are, as explained before, we are working with these proteins and fibers as building blocks. So we use these ingredients in our formulations because they have a functional role. In this case, in the left, you can see an example of an organic mayonnaise. This was a product received from a customer. The target was to develop a mayonnaise 50% fat, organic. So in this case, it was possible to develop, to improve the product, to improve the stability of the product emulsification by exchanging the protein blend used by selecting the right proteins. And as you can see, there was an improvement in the color of the product, in the oil drops in the product as well, and in the taste as well. Then on the right, you can see an example of a cold slaw product. In this type of applications, the aim was to get rid of starch, and the starch was replaced by using different fibers or a fiber blend. As you can see, also in this case, it's important to select the right ingredients. The problem was we came from a product that was completely gelled, and then sorry, and then that was completely gelled and also cordal. And by selecting the right blend of fibers, it was possible to produce a smooth product that was stable also during shelf life. We're also working with barista milk. So this is an example of what we have done for this type of beverages. So in this case, also by selecting the right amount of the right type of protein, we were able to increase the foaming of the barista milk. We are also doing work to, this is a clean label plant-based cheese. So also by working with proteins and fibers, we were able to come from a product looking like this in the right to a product looking like this in the left. So also in this case, by selecting the right proteins, it was possible to improve the emulsification of the product, the texture of the product, and the mouthfeel as well, and the color, as you can see. And then we're also doing a lot of work to, in the case of cheese slices, vegan slices, to improve the flexibility of the product. Then when it comes to meat alternatives, we are also working to improve improve crumbly, mushy textures. So also in this case, by selecting proteins that are able to gel when exposed to heat, we are able to improve the mouthfeel of this type of applications. We are also solving problems of water loss in meat alternatives. And we are developing cleaner labels. So we have big projects, innovation projects to replace carrageenan and MC in some of our formulations. Here you can see an example of how we are selecting the proteins. So this is a cold cut product, 8% protein, and the aim was to improve the mouthfeel of the product. So as you can see, there is a difference in the type of gel. So the ones that are in red, you can see how the product is, or the gel is somehow collapsing once it's lay in the table, in comparison to the first product, in which the product remains rounded. So also in this case, by selecting the right blend, it was possible to improve the gel strength, the elasticity of the product, the color, and also the taste. Besides that, we are also working in the development of organic formulations. We are also working in allergen-free formulations, so products that are soy-free, gluten-free, and egg-free. We are working in the development of different technologies and equipment adaptation, and we are also developing concepts with improved nutritional profile. So how we are elevating nutrition? So as you might be aware, there are different scores to classify food when it comes to nutrition. HFSS is a short term for food and beverage products, which are high in saturated fat, salt, and sugar. So this is basically an initiative from the UK government to limit the promotion of less healthy food and beverages. Once every product should be analyzed, and is analyzed based on if it belongs to one of these 15 categories, and also if the nutritional profiling score is above 4 or above 1 when it is a drink product. This model uses a scoring system based on the nutrient content. So it gains point A when it contains, based on the energy, saturated fat, total sugar, and sodium. and gains also point C when it depending on the fruit content, vegetables, fiber, and protein content. And then it's a formula, so the nutrient profile score is calculated by subtracting the C points to the A points. In this case, then a food is classified as less healthy when it scores 4 points or more, and a drink is classified as less healthy when it scores 1 point or more. In other countries, such as France, Belgium, Spain, Luxembourg, Germany as well, Netherlands and Switzerland, the Nutri-Score is the score that is used. And this is a rating system. It goes also from A to E, where A is the best and E is the worst. The calculation is similar to the HFSS system, so it has positive points and negative points. The positive points are gained when the product contains fibers, protein, fruits, and vegetables, and the negative points are gained depending on the energy density, sugar, saturated fats content, and salt, and also in the case of sweeteners. So there was a change from December of this year. The Nutri-Score is becoming a little more, the calculation is harsher. So, yeah, in the beverage category, only water has a Nutri-Score of A. This means that all beverages will have a worse Nutri-Score now. And there were some adjustments. So now it is higher penalized when the content of sugar and salt are higher. And but it's also positive to gain good points when the fiber and proteins are present in the formulation. So this is to give you an example of how the Nutri-Score is now looking. This is a chocolate flavored coconut milk drink. And before we received this recipe, which had a Nutri-Score, this is with the old Nutri-Score. So we were able to go from a Nutri-Score of C to a Nutri-Score of A by decreasing the amount of total fat, decreasing the amount of sugar, and increasing the amount of fiber. This was with the old calculation. With the new calculation, it's now the formula that was previously C now became an E. And the improved formula that was an A, now it became a D. So as explained before, now the products are more penalized when the amount of fat, or when there is a higher amount of fat and salt in the formulation. But KaTech can help you in the engineering to improve that Nutri-Score values. And this is an example of one of the recent projects we are working on. So this is a plant-based chicken breast. And in this case, also, these calculations were done with the new Nutri-Score. So this is a formula or a recipe based in MC. And it was, with the new Nutri-Score, it was rated as C. In this case, also by modifying or by increasing the amount of protein and by increasing the amount of fiber, we managed to go to a Nutri-Score of B. And we have been recently working in a new technology which allows us to go to obtain a higher amount of protein without having a negative impact in the taste and the without negatively impacting the taste and the mouthfeel or the texture of the product. So it was possible to increase the protein from 15 to 20, and also the fibers to 7 and 8. And this has a huge impact in the final calculation. So from product C, we managed to develop a completely cleanable formulation with a Nutri-Score of A. So in conclusion, KaTech can support you in the development of cleaner and more nutritious plant-based formulations. This with an evolving and reliable portfolio of ingredients, development of innovative technologies, and we have a strong customer-focused team with ingredient and application experts that understand the market and work to fulfill its preferences. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jocelyn and Tim. Thank you so much for these insights. Actually, a lot of tiny details that I didn't know about personally. And now we are welcoming Marcus as well to start the Q&A part. I got the chance to go through the questions during the presentations. I tried to filter them for the team, and I hope the first question is a question which gives a little break to Jocelyn. Maybe someone else can take it. So what is driving right now the plant-based market from your perspective?
Nadia, I can take this. I think it's fair to say that we have seen an ongoing consolidation on the market. We have seen a lot of startups. We have seen a lot of movements, but now the market is really consolidating. At the same time, I think we see a product evolution, and that is mainly driven by strong efforts to make existing products better when it comes to taste, when it comes to texture, when it comes to the nutritional values, but also to achieve leaner labels. And I think that will continue because it's a natural evolution, and also portfolios are getting broader. We have seen basic products for a start, and now lots of additional portfolio items and sub-applications are in place. And I think that's super exciting because it adds much more variety to an existing portfolio, and also consumers have a bigger choice. But of course, at the end, quality will be key to ensure that repurchase rates will be in place. And on the long run, of course, positioning aspects as well as quality need to play out to be successful. So I think exciting to see what comes next, but also new innovations in fish alternatives and so on and so forth. They really drive portfolio extension, and that's great to see.
Thank you. Another question about fibers. Which are the typical fibers you used in developments?
Yeah, I can answer this one. So we have a broad portfolio of fibers. Some of them are including, like explained in the presentation, some of them have viscosifying properties or non-viscosifying properties. So the applications are really broad. In dairy applications, in some cases, we use citrus fiber, for example, to improve the creaminess of cream cheese. We also use different viscosifying fibers, like a blend with citrus, oat, and bamboo pea. This to replace starch in some savory applications. And in meat alternatives, fibers are also useful to improve the texture or to modify the texture of the product. So by combining and selecting different fibers, we can go from a chicken type of texture, like a chicken breast or chicken nugget, to a sausage to mimic this meatiness in a sausage product. So the use of fibers is really broad when it comes to the applications we are developing.
All right, we are receiving a lot of questions, which is really cool. I'm not sure if we can go through all of them today, but I'll do my best. And anyway, the team will follow up as well. So next question comes from someone who's working on a plant-based sausage and would like to get a better Nutri-Score. He or she is asking, apart from protein, what are the options to make it healthier?
I think now I can take this question. So hello, everybody. Yeah, I think what we learned already from Jocelyn during this presentation is that you have a big impact when you work with a fiber. So this one has a positive impact. Other parameters to play with would be, for example, the salt. So with the salt reduction, you can also score higher in the Nutri-Score. And then you could use, for example, potassium chloride to add a little bit of saltiness. Flavors also would help. For example, yeast extracts, if it's okay for you to use. The other thing, big impact has fat. So first of all, fat reduction is reducing the calories also, but also the choice of the fat. So if you are coming, for example, from a coconut fat, which has a lot of saturated fatty acids, and you choose maybe partly or fully go to rapeseed oil, for instance, this will also have a positive impact. And Another thing would be also to add, for example, you could think about to add some vegetables, for example, and combine it also with rapeseed oil. And if you add enough, that would also have a positive effect. So there are many different parameters which you can choose. Then you always need to think about to get back to the texture you want. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Markus. Another cool question that might be relevant to a lot of people here. Is there a best plant-based protein? Like soy protein or pea protein?
Okay, I think I can also take this question. Really interesting question. It would be good if there would be maybe only one possibility, but I think it really depends also on the application you are looking at, and maybe are there maybe also parameters like sustainability or country of origin. For example, when we talk about country of origin, then and you are sourcing for European source, so maybe then pea or faba would be quite interesting for you. Then if you would like to go only for functionality, if you want to use a protein for emulsification, what Jocelyn showed in the presentation, then you got also quite good results with concentrates. So there could be faba, it could be pea, but there are also soy on the market. But I think what is also quite important and what we wanted to point out is yeah, it is really depending on the supplier and related then to the functionality. So it really depends. And then also, yeah, coming back to the application, do you want to fortify in a meat alternative section? So there you have anyway a little bit more salty flavor, umami flavor. So then this one is going to be hidden. The off taste, I mean, which could potentially occur by the proteins. Or do you want to go into dairy alt? Then you're looking rather for maybe for a white product. It could be maybe there rather the choice of a soy, but really I think it is depending on the application and also on the combination and finding the right sources. I think this is key.
Got it. Is there any research done on carob proteins?
I can take that one. Yes, so KaTech is, as we were explaining before, KaTech is independent in the screening and sourcing of ingredients. So yeah, we have analyzed samples of carob protein in the past. The screening is, as shown before, we are going through different functionalities. So we look into the solubility properties, emulsification, gelling, and carob is an interesting raw material. Some of the applications that we see this protein more on are meat alternatives and bakery.
Okay, we try to choose one last question, and a lot of other questions left that we need to follow up after the session. Markus, maybe you have one question in mind.
Yeah, I think one I see here is how do you define clean label? I don't know, Jocelyn, do you maybe want to start? I can maybe follow if there's something left.
Sure, yeah. So the clean label definition is quite tricky because there is no legal definition. So this clean label can vary from customer to customer and from person to person, from country to country. So ingredient has a definition of clean label, and basically it means, or our definition is that we are using ingredients that are not misleading and that our consumers can easily identify, and are ingredients that you can easily find in a kitchen. So yeah, for us in KaTech, when we speak about clean label, we mean recipes without any e-number.
Yes, I think, yeah, maybe we could add in some country markets some raw materials pectin, for example, is also considered to be a clean label raw material, despite the fact it has an E number. Yeah, so and it really depends also. For example, citric acid has also an E number. Yeah, and for one country market or customers, this is also not considered to be clean label. It depends a little bit, but in general, I agree with Jocelyn saying.
Thank you. Well, let me add one last question, and then we try to finalize, because I think it's quite relevant one. Is there a replacement for methyl cellulose? I don't really know how to pronounce it.
Marcus,
yeah, I don't know. Do you want maybe to start?
Yeah, of course. No, I can take it. I mean, it's always application dependent. We have done a lot of work in that field to come up with a solution that fits multiple application areas. We have something available. We are pretty proud, and we're also confident it's a great replacement. But if you have specific questions, it would be great to reach out to us, because then we can really introduce you to the topic, because we need to talk details here, but we have a solution that provides great functionality and enables us to replace methyl cellulose in specific application areas. So please just reach out and we will share more details as we go along.
Thank you, Tim. So we're running out of time. Unfortunately, time flies. Several remaining questions will be followed up by the team for sure. One question goes to Vegconomist. Will there be a copy of the webinar? For sure. We will, we recorded this webinar and we will have a post around it and upload this video on vegconomist.com. I believe beginning of next week. We do our best to prepare the post quite quickly within the next 3 or 4 days. In the meantime, what else should I tell you? We got your contact, so the team will get back to you with the remaining questions. Thank you so much for the contribution. We've seen a lot of participants, which are crucial for running a webinar. We've seen a lot of questions, which is really great. It shows the interest in plant-based formulations. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend and see you soon on Vegconomist.